So one of the big things that's overlooked by us men and in our culture pretty much is mental health. And because it's mental health month and one of the big topics is Drake and Kendrick, I thought we might as well go ahead and review this Kendrick Lamar interview that he did with MTV where he talks about his depression and suicidal thoughts. So let's go ahead and get into it.
I want to get into you.
Yeah.
I feel like the album goes along a certain path, and you to me feels like the turning point, like the access of the album. And
Exactly.
a lot of it revolves around that track. I mean, I'm just going to get right into it, man. And you know, we know each other. We text each other back and forth
All the
sometimes
time.
just because it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yo, how you doing?
Yeah.
And I was surprised to hear some of the things that you were saying over here when you talk about depression and reveal suicidal thoughts. And I'm like, is this real? Is there poetic license? Like, where did that come from? What prompted that?
I think I've pulled that song not only from previous experiences, but I think my whole life. I think everything is drawn out of that. Even situations from Good Kid, Mad City. It wasn't that much. It wasn't that vulnerable. Nothing was as vulnerable as that record. So it's even pulling from those experiences of coming up in Compton. It's pulling with the experience of going through change and accepting change. That's the hardest thing for man, accepting change. And when I was on that tour bus and things is happening back home in my city or in my family that I can't do nothing about, it's out of my control, I don't put it in God's hands, I couldn't understand that. And that can draw a thin line, you know, between you having your sanity and you losing it. And this is how artists deteriorate if you don't catch yourself. So with these things happen, my release therapy is writing the music. And this was one of the records that came about. And I said to myself, I couldn't have this album without this record. Because, let's put it this way, the overall theme for me personally for this album is really leadership. How can I use it? For better or for worse, with money and with my celebrity, how can I use it? How can I pimp it? Can I pimp it negatively, or can I pimp it in a positive way? Positive for me is showing what I go through, showing what I've been through with you, and coming all the way back to I and saying I still love myself at the end of the day. And it was vital that I had that on there.
Right off the bat, he starts talking about one of the big things is dealing with change. For us as men, we are used to a specific cadence. So when we get into a cycle of change and it breaks habits that we usually have, that's hard for us. A lot of times they talk about it's easier for women to make changes and get motivated about certain things because they can adapt to changes more than we can as men. Just big up to Kendrick for actually even doing this interview. This interview was about 9 years ago, but for him to actually get on this stage, having the platform that he has and talking about these specific things, you really don't see that out of artists. A lot of times artists will act like everything's all good, but he's coming out and even talking about depression and having suicidal thoughts. Big ups for him for actually coming out and talking about this. Let's continue.
Lied to a song, a bonus track that you had on Good Kid, Mad City, Black Boy Fly.
Yeah.
Which was interesting, where you talk about, I used to be jealous of Aaron Afalo,
Right.
who was an NBA player who came up in Compton like you. And to me, I see it like if y'all Compton caterpillars that turned into butterflies, he turned into the butterfly, and then there was a jealousy and an envy that he got out to see the world and make it out.
Exactly.
You make it out, and then you rap, a friend never leaves Compton for profit.
Yeah.
Like, it's some serious survivor's guilt going on.
It's definitely survivor's guilt. A lot of the album has that survivor's guilt from institutionalized. How can I use my influence with other cats coming into the city and me still being involved in the activities, you know, inside the streets? How can I influence that in a positive way? That's part of survivor's guilt. I'm feeling all these things while I'm on tour, to be 100% real with you.
When you're supposed to be enjoying it.
With that, like, I've also heard a lot of artists say that they go on tour for one thing and then they discover a whole new meaning to their life by going on tour because they're away from their family. If they have a family, in this case, he does have a family. Them being out there on the road and interacting with fans and going to all these different cities and performing their music, they experience a whole bunch of emotions. They experience trials and tribulations. A lot of them write music while they're actually on tour as well. I can definitely understand that while he was on tour, he was feeling a lot of that stuff because, again, he's out of his particular element. even though he's been an artist for a certain amount of time, he's done several tours, you're still out there and you're vulnerable. You're giving yourself to fans every single night. You're not with your family. You're not in your typical setting, your normal routine. So you're breaking that routine. It's also bringing new thoughts into your mind, new emotions and new experiences. So you can look at his face when he's talking. It literally looks like he's going through a whole bunch of emotions and he's dealing with a lot just as he's talking about that. It's crazy. You can literally see it on his face.
To that, before that, when I went overseas, you know, I gotta get off stage and almost face the madness and get these calls. You feel me? Like, it's real, man. 3 of my homeboys that summertime, was murdered. Right. You know, close ones too, not just somebody that I hear about. These people I grew up with. So
he was on tour, couldn't deal with it.
It all psychologically it messes your brain up because you live in this life, you know what I'm saying? But you still have to face realities of this. I got to get back off that tour bus and go to these funerals,
exactly.
You know, and go talk to my moms and talk to their aunties, the kids that you know lost their lives.
And your sister, you talked about your sister being pregnant and not being able to lead her maybe on a path that was more responsible.
Even that, you know, from my sister to my little cousins, and to other siblings around me that's coming up. How can I be a voice for all these people around the world and can't reach them like I want to?
Right.
And they're the closest to me.
Yeah.
That's a trip. That's truly a trip to me. And everybody go through trials and tribulations and make mistakes, but for me personally, somebody else's mistake, I tend to fault myself.
You put a lot of pressure on yourself, man.
Yeah.
You put a lot of pressure on yourself.
A lot.
If you're used to performing at a high level and you're used to taking care of a lot of people, there is a lot of pressure on you. And he talks about that there. Being on the road, he can't be home to attend to some of the things that he would normally attend to while he's on the road. So he's like, I got to get off the road. You know, I got to get back home and address these things that's happening in my city. Like 3 of my homeboys was just murdered. My sister is pregnant. There's things that I can't like get to and take care of because I'm on the road. So that also plays into a part with his psyche and plays into what he's dealing with. Let's be honest, when somebody goes to a concert to see these people perform, to see Kendrick perform, I want to hear the songs that I like, right? I don't really want to hear about all the personal stuff that he has going on. And then if he does do something like that, there's going to be so many people that are like, man, this dude is crazy. He had a meltdown. He broke down all these different things. Like there's video of like Kanye doing stuff like that. Drake has done stuff like that where they're just going off during the concert. And then with how social media is now, all that stuff is recorded and put out. They chop it up and they make these guys look crazy, right? So it's like a lose-lose situation no matter what he does.
I can't really have a true reason behind it, but I think this is just how I was raised and how I was born, you know?
Okay. Then right after you comes All Right. Like, It almost seems, I almost feel guilty for going through something so deep as you. And then I in the car the other day and All Right came on right after, and then I'm just like, because it felt like it don't happen that quick. Or when was the realization for you that you gonna be all right, that we gonna be all right?
That I'm gonna be all right.
It's a good question.
The more and more I got to travel, when I went to Africa and I got to see other people's problems, you know, they struggle maybe 10 times harder, you know, and was raised, you know, crazier than what I was. Going out there really inspired. I wrote a lot of records off the album just by visiting South Africa and being able to move around like I did. And that was the moment I knew, okay, I can either pimp this situation or I can fall victim to it. You know what I mean? And that was a turning point.
How much a dollar costs?
Yeah.
This is one of those tracks where, and I appreciate you for this as a hip hop fan.
Yeah, it's a true story. Where I was at, Johannesburg.
Okay.
Johannesburg, and I always flirted with the idea, just my imagination, you know, rolling past people that were that we consider bums or homeless, and saying to myself, what if that was the moment, you know, this is not a human form, but this is a mortal form of an angel testing your integrity to actually stop, not just give him money, but talk to him. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
And this was one particular situation where I came across this as evidence, again, being out there. I'm looking at this guy on the side, you know. We stop, we getting gas or whatever, and I'm just ignoring them because from where I come from, these just panhandlers.
Yeah,
you know?
you don't engage.
Yeah, I don't engage. I know what you're gonna do with the money. You're gonna smoke it off. You're gonna get some crack or whatever. Even if how much you tell me that you want to do this, when I know what you're gonna do, so I'm not gonna engage in it. But the moment I actually engaged with him, he said, "God bless you." You know, this is your calling. And it blew my mind, like really tripped me out, making me think these are moments in my life deeper than just handing somebody $1. These are actually moments of integrity, being able to actually talk to somebody. Me talking to him was simply a thank you.
Right.
From God, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I felt God speaking through him to get at me, you know, and it was really a real trip. And I tend to always bottle these ideas in because I want to share them with the world. And that's how you get a record, like how much $1 costs. Okay.
Living in Atlanta, obviously it's not like California, other cities like that, but you do see a lot of homeless people. There were times where I did ignore them and not give them money or food or anything because I'm like, I know what they're going to go and do with it, right? But that was just my own mind telling me what I thought based on situations that I've dealt with prior. But Kendrick talks about, what if that was an angel that's testing your integrity? What if that was God sending somebody to you to see how you're going to react? You got it made compared to that person. Are you going to stop and talk to them? Are you going to give them some of the food that you have? Are you going to give them some money? And I'll be honest, I never used to think about it the way that I think about it now. But you never know who these people could be. You never know. That could have been somebody that was up $1 million and now they're down. And they just need that conversation from you that could change their whole life. It could be an angel that comes down. A lot of times people get so caught up in their own world that they don't stop to think about other people. Their mental is so messed up that all they care about is themselves. But you never know. You could give somebody $1, $5. You can give somebody a lunch and something can turn around and that person, that same person that you went and helped, that before or possibly you could have ignored them, they could turn around and help you. You never know, man. You got to treat people how you want to be treated because karma and all that stuff is real.
You know, you feel like you're talking through God through somebody homeless, maybe a bum. And there's also parts in the album where you speak to Lucy, Lucifer,
the
devil. So you
it's trippy.
You see both sides of
it's crazy.
It's when I go inside, I may do an after party. I see it all around, man. I may do an after party, and this is how I'll be able to write these records because it's not just the positive energy that speaks to me, it's the negative too, it's the evils too, and we all have temptations.
Right.
You know, me, I'm just fortunate enough to translate them temptations through record.
Right.
You know, I always said this is truly a gift for me. Putting these records out is a gift for me because I'm not only a voice for myself, but I'm a voice for people who can't express themselves like that.
Yeah, and for sure.
Lucy is one of my favorite records because it's me actually coming to realization of the evils rather than acting like it's not going around. My thoughts are not happening. My thoughts are happening right in front of my face.
Yeah, that was a good record.
That reminded me in a way, and not to compare it to anything, because I do think this is an original, maybe one of the most original works we've seen in a long time, but it reminded me a little bit of Snoop.
Yeah.
And Murder Was the Case. Where he had that conversation with the devil, with Lucifer, and that temptation was in his face. And it seems like a metaphor for something, but so you see this temptation that in the after parties, be it alcohol, women,
for sure,
bad deals. Not all money is good money.
Right, exactly. And we fall victim to it every day. You know, it's a tough thing to deal with. Me talking to Snoop and actually having a conversation with him, I know the story. I know the trial and tribulations he's been through with fame, fortune, and loss. You know, so whether I know it or not, that's definitely an influence. That's definitely influence.
So I just wanted to go through that interview that Kendrick did with MTV a while ago. It was interesting to see, but it was also refreshing to see an artist actually go through an interview like that and talk about some of the things that he dealt with. Yes, there is a beef going on between him and Drake, but I just wanted to highlight this because it's Mental Health Month too as well. And that's one of the things we do focus and talk about here on the channel on the SOC University. So I appreciate you watching this video, appreciate the support. We talk about mental health, we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about self-improvement. You know, I'm just trying to create that space for men to be able to express how they're feeling, level up, and improve their life too as well. So if you like more content like that, subscribe to the channel, share the channel, like it, save, comment, and also let me know about what you think about the recent beef between him and Drake. Let me know who you think won too as well. I think the competition is good for hip hop. To me, they both won, in my opinion. I'm out. Like the channel, subscribe. I'm out of here.